Welcome to Impact You Wellness Wednesday Live. I am Robin Engelson, your host, and today we have a special guest in store for you, Tiffany Ryder, and she is going to be sharing with you some exciting and fun facts and tips, and you are just in for a ride. So let me share with you her bio first. Tiffany Ryder, former NFL cheerleader turned emergency medicine physician associate and healthcare consultant, is a true thought leader in the fields of health and wellness. Her positive impact on public health as one of the original trailblazers, championing the National Diabetes Prevention Program, earned her title of Top Healthcare Leader, and she is widely recognized as an international speaker and a media contributor for national publications such as US News and World Report and BuzzFeed. Recently, Tiffany made a name for herself as founder of Lucent Wellness, a health consulting firm. Through this venture, she assists entrepreneurs in small to medium-sized businesses in developing innovative healthcare solutions that enhance accessibility to healthcare for employees while reducing overall healthcare expenses. Tiffany firmly believes that we have the power to revolutionize our healthcare system by advocating for increased financial needs. So, if you would, Tiffany, please welcome. Share a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Hi, Robin. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always uncomfortable to hear someone bragging on you, but I appreciate the introduction for sure.
Absolutely.
So my name is Tiffany Ryder. Like you said, I'm a practicing emergency medicine physician associate. Big fan of everything health, wellness, fitness, medicine. In the emergency department, we do a lot of really good things, but the preventative care side of things is also something that I just feel so passionately about, as well as, making sure that people understand and have a good grasp and good health literacy and access to things that aren't quite as expensive as an emergency room visit and, maybe a little bit more convenient. So I'm just really passionate about empowering patients with more information and allowing people to make good choices about their healthcare and about how to live their life.
I love that. Choices. Every day is a choice, I believe. Every day is a choice to get up, a choice to be healthier, a choice what you eat, a choice how you speak. So having that choice just allows us to be better people and better humans.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So, Tiffany, if you could share a little bit about your history. So, kind of in the past, like when you were an NFL cheerleader, because I find that story so interesting and it really resonates. As a mom of now a teenager, it really just resonated with me, and I know a lot of our viewers will be able to resonate with it as well.
Sure. So, I'm in medicine now. And like you said, I came from a performance athletic background, but that certainly wasn't where I thought that I was going growing up. I grew up in a small town in Louisiana, and really most of the powerful women in my life were homemakers. They were taking great care of their family. They were great moms. They were active in their church and in the social system and society. But that was primarily the influence that I saw women having. And while that is wonderful and resonates with a lot of people, there was something inside of me that just wanted to see what else was out there. And so I actually ended up getting married at a very young age. I was married at 17, and at that point moved. My husband was in the Air Force and moved to Maryland, and got pregnant at 18, had my first baby at 19, was figuring life out, taking some classes, but wasn't really sure where I was going, and ended up in a place where I was really unhappy with where I could see my future headed. I was overweight, not because I had had a baby, but I had a baby, I lost the weight, and then just motherhood and the demands of running around, trying to work, trying to go to school, take care of my child, just wasn't aware of, right? Just life. We've all been there.
Yep.
I think it was hard for me not knowing what good nutrition looked like or what physical activity should look like as an adult, and ended up, sitting in my doctor's office, 25 pounds overweight, toddler running around the exam room, and finding out, or being told rather, that I had PCOS and prediabetes.
Mhm.
And that was a blow for me. And I was young, I didn't know much about medicine, and I said,
Yeah.
"Well, what does that mean?"
Mhm.
And they explained to me that, prediabetes meant that, my blood sugar was generally higher, and that some people are more prone to that due to genetics or other reasons, but that I could take this medication,
Mhm.
and, it may help delay the onset of type 2 diabetes for some time, but that was pretty much the option that I was given.
Mm.
So, having that experience, I wasn't happy about it, didn't know what else to do, and I left and thought, well, this is where I am. Um, Separate from that, I was trying to figure out my life, and met someone who had tried out for an NFL team, and was really passionate about it. I said, wow, this sounds really exciting. This is so cool. Like, I want to do that. Tried out for 3 different NFL teams, didn't make it past the first round on any of them, and realized, someone came to me and they said, I think if you were more active and, maybe could tighten up your diet,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, she was delicate, she was really nice, but she was like, I really think there are some things that you could do that could increase your chances next year. And I said, okay. So I ended up, getting up at 5 in the morning, changing my whole lifestyle.
Wow.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I really took away from that experience was I had no idea what I was doing.
Mhm.
And I just looked around to this new health and fitness community, and I said, well, I need some help. How can I do
Mhm.
this?
Yeah.
And people could tell that I was open and I was willing to do
Mhm.
the work, and people were so supportive.
Mhm.
And so, I got into an active lifestyle in order to make the team, and I did that. But the surprising thing that happened is I had more energy. I
Mm. Right?
had mental resilience dealing with my toddler that I hadn't had before. I was waking up at 5 in the morning, but found it easier to go to work and go to class and then pick up my daughter and do all the evening things. And then when
Mhm.
I went back to my doctor, all of a sudden, my blood sugar level, my A1C, was lower, was now in range, despite
Wow.
not having taken the medication. And so
Yeah.
I guess that was my first sort of foray into health and wellness, to realize that I had more power than I thought. There were
Absolutely.
There were
Yeah.
options that maybe weren't always going to be presented at the doctor's
Mm.
office,
Mhm.
and that help was available. And
Yeah.
I didn't know where to go for help, but I just started being open and having conversations, and people said, "Oh, well, we know something. Let me help you." And so I think that was
Amazing.
a good introduction for me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's wow. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
doing all of that and
Yeah.
taking care of your life and being a better person, a better mom, and really just getting healthier because the world needs more healthier people. And if you don't pay for your health initially, you're going to pay for it tenfold years later. And that is just not monetarily, that's in every aspect of your life. And it's so interesting when you say that because pre-diabetic diabetes is autoimmunity, and I have Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid autoimmune disease, and hypothyroidism. And everything you're describing is exactly what the symptoms are, or how you feel, I should say, how you feel with Hashimoto's. The thing is that I was never overweight, I was underweight, right? When you looked at me, and I was a collegiate and high school athlete as well. And so I understand what it means to perform at an athletic level and to be there's a different level that you perform at. However, when you're not fueling your body with the proper nutrition and you don't have the energy and you're not sleeping well, you're fighting so much harder to get to the same level that everybody else is at. And
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, but you don't realize the struggle until after the fact, right? So when you said that when you decided to make a choice, again, choosing to be better, and you were open and willing to do the work.
Mhm.
Having that opportunity in life is huge. Everybody has the same opportunity to be healthy and happier, but it's the choice that we get to make that allows us to be better or not, right?
Mhm.
So, being healthier and happier and changing nutrition, exercising on a regular basis, and really just feeling our body, and your energy increases. You sleep better. You're a better mom. You have more patience. And that's all of the things that I did with my autoimmune disease. So, very similar situations, but completely different environments,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
It's one of the ironies, I feel like, almost. I feel like in our culture, we're somehow conditioned to say, one pill treats one disease, right? So
Hmm.
there's one intervention
Hmm.
that
Yep.
cures one ailment. And
Yep.
so I think it makes it harder to believe this snake oil that is
Yep.
healthy living, that is
Mhm.
being active,
Yeah.
right? Because exercise doesn't just make you fit better in your jeans or give you
Mhm.
the ability to walk and be less winded. It
Right.
also helps you sleep better and
Yes.
also, changes your life and your mental health in a lot of ways. And it's almost like it's too good to believe.
It really is, and the thing is, it's so simple. It's
Mhm.
so simple, and so many people don't do it. Like, I don't as a, a lot of my clients, and I help them, it's like, okay, well, they'll say, "Well, I don't work out." No problem, because honestly, we're gonna start with nutrition, because nutrition is what's gonna make you feel better, and working out is just gonna make you feel even better. It's gonna
Mhm.
energize you, it's gonna make you sleep better, but you gotta deal with the nutrition first. So, it's kinda like the pieces to the puzzle, right? And when we talk about exercise, it doesn't mean you have to be working out an hour a day. Listen, I used to be a gym rat. I used to work out 2 hours a day, 6 days a week in the gym with 0 results. 0, big fat 0.
Yep.
When I changed my mindset to change my life, I started working out, and my nutrition, of course. I work out 30 to 40 minutes a day, 4 to 5 days a week, and my
Yeah.
results are ridiculous.
Sure.
And it's not just the physical results, it's mental results, it's the energy, it's the sleeping, it's the whole life success. So, Tiffany, if you could just talk a little bit about the simplifying the diet and the exercise and recommendations, and what you feel is best for people.
Oh, I love this question, Robin, because
Yay.
yeah, so as a medical provider, but also as just a human who has been interested in fitness for, gosh, 22 years now,
Mhm. Wow.
I think one of the things that really bugs me on a regular basis is seeing the way we've made everything so complex, right? So you
Mhm.
mentioned something. You said you used to be a gym rat, you used to work out, in
Mhm.
this certain prescribed way. And I think
Yep.
that a lot of us really feel, especially when you're on the other side and you haven't gotten into it yet, you look at exercise and what does that mean? And
Yep.
then you start to define it and you say, well, I'm not qualified to do that. I don't know what I'm
Mm.
doing. I don't know how to be active. That's not how I identify
Mhm.
in my life. And who am I to say that
Yep.
I know how to exercise?
Mhm.
And so I think, the most important part of that is empowering people and saying, for most people,
Mhm.
you can get great benefits from just doing a little bit
Yeah,
more than you
absolutely.
currently do, right? Whatever that looks like. It doesn't mean that if you can't go to the gym and lift weights for a half hour and follow
Mhm.
that up with a 30-minute run, like,
Mhm.
who cares? Right? Right?
Right,
If
right.
you currently can only walk to your mailbox and then walk back to your house and that's your
Mhm.
level of activity,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
But would it be safe or would it be appropriate for you to walk to your mailbox once in the morning and once in the evening?
Right.
Right? And then
Yeah,
is it
absolutely.
appropriate for you to walk 5 feet past your mailbox and then come back? And I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but that's the reality for a lot
Yep.
of people, is that really just doing just a smidge more
Mhm. Yep,
than what you're currently doing
yep.
can have great results. So,
Absolutely, and, as when I'm coaching my clients, I'm always sharing, it's the small daily results that get us to the bigger goal.
yeah.
So, yes, walk to the mailbox once a day. The next day, walk to the mailbox twice, morning and night.
Yep.
Next day, morning, lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner, right? And
Yep.
so it's the small daily actions, right? You just gotta keep doing it, and the consistency and the discipline of it, so you build the muscle in your mind that allows your body to produce those results,
Yeah.
right? You don't need to be, this gym rat like I was and no results. You just need to be
Sure.
better every day. And we
Yeah.
all get the same 24 hours in a day. Every day you wake up is a blessing and you get the same 24 hours. What are you going to do with those hours? How
Yeah.
are you going to impact your life and those around you and your loved ones, right?
Yeah.
And so I love when I ask people, so, what are you doing? Are you feeling okay? How are you feeling? Oh, I'm good, but I want to lose 10 pounds, so I'm going to the gym. My direct response is, how's your nutrition? What are you eating? I don't care that you're going to the gym because that's not going to do anything for you.
Mhm.
You need to change your nutrition. You need to but I think a lot of times is that we go to the doctor, we get a diagnosis, or we go to our primary care and they say you have this and this, go to a specialist, but they don't address nutrition. And that's that's not their expertise,
Mhm.
right? And so I think it's so important to have this bridge between the providers and the health coaches and the experts in the fields, like
Sure.
myself as an autoimmune expert and you as a physician assistant in that field,
Yeah.
to really come together. Because if you're not treating the core issue, which is your nutrition, you can work out as much as you want, but you're still going to feel like crap every day. And
Mhm.
you're going to be frustrated that you don't get the results, and then you're going to quit. And it's that cycle that keeps happening over and over again. So, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on that, Tiffany?
Yeah. So I love that you bring this up because, I told my personal story
Mhm.
about how my pre-diabetes was
Yeah.
resolved, but that's not everyone's story. And
Right.
I think that it's absolutely something that, we really do have to look at this as a holistic
Hmm.
approach.
Hmm.
So, for anyone who is looking to make a life change, I always say, if you're asking me a question about how to lose weight, how to be healthy, how to do anything, have you been to your primary care lately? Right? Because
Hmm.
that's not their expertise, but their expertise is to make sure that all of the ducks are in a row and they can give you that confidence and
Yes.
say, I've done
Hmm.
this exam.
Yes.
There isn't anything that is going to preclude you from
Hmm.
XYZ, right? And XYZ is for most people from increasing your activity slowly and approaching your diet in a better way. So I do think that, making sure that you've been evaluated for anything squirrely or
Hmm.
strange that's going on,
Sure.
like
Sure.
happened with you, right? Where
Mhm.
you um, received a diagnosis from an
Right.
evaluation, right? Like these
Right.
things happen.
Mhm. Yep,
But after
absolutely.
that piece is out of the way and you know what the parameters are, you've talked to your doctor about what the recommendations are, then it's about building your community and finding a way to get there. So I
Mhm.
can go to my doctor, I can go to my I see a nurse practitioner actually. So I can go to my NP and say, "Hey, what do I need to do?" And she can
Mhm.
say, "Well, it would be good if you could increase your exercise and,
Mhm.
make your body more sensitive to insulin. That
Mhm.
would be helpful. It would also be good if you
Mhm.
could lose 5 or 10 pounds and,
Mhm.
you're going to have to address your nutrition
Right.
for that.
Right.
But that's probably as far as that conversation would go
Mhm.
with my
Yep.
primary care.
Yep.
And so then it's a matter of, well, how do I increase my
Mhm.
activity and how do I do
Right.
that in a sustainable way
Yes.
that's good for me? And how
Mhm.
do I how do I address my nutrition, but not just intellectually how, but also how do I stay motivated to do that day to
Yeah,
day? How do I do that when
absolutely.
I have a party that I really want to go to and I
Mhm.
don't want to feel excluded?
Mhm.
How do
Mhm.
I do that when I'm working 12 hours in the emergency room and I
Mhm.
may or may not have time to eat until 11 o'clock at night?
Right.
And
You
I think
know?
that's the real value of health coaching and experts
Mhm.
on,
Yep.
mindset and approach and lifestyle, because
Yes.
it's really an organizational thing that needs to be
Mhm.
adjusted sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think that having your team, creating your team that works for you. Because you're right, the primary care is a great place to start, but they're not an expert in nutrition. They could
Mhm.
tell you to be healthier and increase your fiber. Great. That's what I've been told. But what does that mean? Like before I understood nutrition, what does that mean? And the first thing people do is go on and Google it. And that's the worst thing you can do. Literally, when I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I was like, what? I couldn't even pronounce it. Was I dying? What's happening? Like,
Sure.
am I going to be sick forever? My hair going to fall out? Like, they don't. They just say this is. They don't tell you anything, and that's. I think that's a real big disconnect. But when you have the team in place and you find the right people with
Yep.
your primary care, with your specialist for endocrinology, for
Yep.
autoimmunity, and you find your health coach and you find your holistic practitioner. And it's that combination of everything. That's how
Yeah.
I got healthy, right?
Yeah.
It's the combination of really understanding nutrition, having a nutrition coach that could help me with that,
Yeah.
having a community within nutrition that saw me for who I was and accepted me and loved me and just nourished me and held me accountable
Yeah.
to get the results that I said I wanted to feel healthier, right? Going to the holistic doctor that can share with me that you can't be on this medication because it's not going to serve you because your body doesn't produce this. So you need to be on this instead.
Hmm.
So, oh, okay. But your primary care is not going to know that. That's not their expertise.
Yeah.
So I've learned to be able to put the team together in the expertise that you don't have that you want for your health. And I
Yeah.
think it's so important because then you're going to thrive. But a lot of times people don't know where to go. So,
Hmm.
and I think it's so important as you and I coming here together
Yeah.
from the practitioner side and the coaching side and
Yeah.
bridging that gap together, because that's where I see the future of medicine and the future of holistic health and the future of just being healthier and happier with your autoimmune diagnosis or whatever diagnosis that you have. And also being more productive in the workplace, at home, with your kids, with your
Yeah.
partner, but more importantly, yourself.
Yeah.
So, what's next for you, Tiffany? Like, what's coming up? What's next? What are your thoughts? Share with us.
Yeah. So my passion, my desire in life is really to support the empowerment of patients. So, I try to do that in a few ways. I'm always on LinkedIn. So that's a good place to find me talking about this stuff. But I'm trying to do the best I can to inform patients and just put information out there in the world because like you said, Google isn't always the best
Nope.
place to do this.
Uh-uh.
But I think that in general, patients should surround themselves with a whole village of people that make them feel heard, that are knowledgeable, that they trust, right? So
Mhm. Yes.
making sure that they're interacting with practitioners that are listening to them and that are adjusting their medications and talking with them about benefits and risks of
Yeah.
different treatment options and things like that is important. Same thing with your health coach. You want to go to someone that you're already half in before you even start working with them because they
Mhm.
resonate with you.
Absolutely.
Yep. So just social media is always next for me, doing the best I can to just spread the word on things that I think are important. And
Mm.
direct primary care is something that I'm really interested in. Most recently, I've had a great experience the past several years in finding direct primary care. It's
Mhm.
basically a primary care uh, provider who
Mhm.
works based on a subscription model or something
Mhm.
like that instead of insurance. And
Yes,
so
I've heard of that.
yeah, so I've had a great personal experience and then professionally working in the emergency room, I've become more and more interested because I see so many patients who are there,
Mhm.
really spending so much money, so much time, it's inconvenient. And when I ask them, were you able to get with your primary care? What did your primary care say about this?
Right.
Didn't you hear them confused,
Exactly.
right?
Mhm.
Their answer is, "Well, I would love to be seen, but I was unable to get an appointment,"
Mhm.
or "Their
Mhm.
primary care is accepting new patients." And, there's this
Mhm.
whole dynamic that's happening in our healthcare system. So, right now I'm really focusing on bringing awareness to alternative solutions, to
Mhm.
to provide more access to care, more affordable care to
Mhm.
patients. And right now, the most promising solution that I'm seeing is direct primary care. And so
Mhm.
I'm doing what I can to support,
Yeah.
informing people about that and letting employers know what the options
Mhm.
are for direct primary care and how to connect
Mhm.
these employers and patients to
Mhm.
these businesses that are offering services that I think are really just make sense and are good for humanity and for patients.
Absolutely. And I think just, having access is key because if we don't have access, then nothing's going to change. And in
That's
order to have access, we get to share with the providers and let them know so they can understand that they need to be more available or they need to change their hours or what I really truly believe is when you do have the access, then the next step is actually having the doctor listen to you. There's
Mhm.
so many times that I've been in a doctor's office where I'm just another number. It's like they have to check the boxes, and what I have and how I react to medication or how I feel is nothing like anybody else has ever been there that day or that they've ever seen. And so having a doctor that truly listens to you, but
Mhm.
who you are and how you feel, in addition to having the access, is a
Mhm.
winning combination.
Mhm.
Because my treatment and your treatment could be very different, even though we both have the same autoimmune disease
Yeah, for
or
sure.
the same flu for whatever reason we're talking about here, right? But
Yeah.
it's how our bodies react to that. And so having the access and then being heard
Yeah.
and and then we start to, and just by being heard, we start to feel better. There's
Yeah,
something
that's
about
absolutely
that,
true.
right? When
Yeah.
someone hears you for what you have to say and who you are, you just start to feel better because it starts to weigh down on your shoulders. You go to so many doctors, you go to so many doctors. My
Yeah.
mother-in-law and I used to say, if we got paid for the amount of time we sat in doctor's offices, we'd be
Yeah.
really wealthy, you know? And that was back when we were both getting diagnosed with different things. And,
Yeah.
because you want to keep finding the person, the doctor, the team, right, that you want to
Yep.
put on the field to play for you that's winning.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to be heard in
Yeah.
order to have the access for us to be heard in order to do that.
And
And
I think
so,
that's real. I think
yeah.
that's right, because if you come to me for care and you
Uh-huh.
feel like I'm listening to you,
Yes.
you're willing to show up as a
Yes.
patient in a different way. Right?
100%.
You're willing to be
Yes.
vulnerable. You're willing
Yes.
to share things with me
Mhm.
about
Mhm.
your nutrition, about things you're
Yep.
embarrassed about your sex life, about
Yeah,
whatever, like personal
exactly.
private things
Yes.
that may clue me in
Mhm.
to a better way to approach
Yeah,
you or a better way to treat you, and then
absolutely.
you're also more likely to be compliant and to take
Mhm.
whatever medication or treatment that's
Yeah.
prescribed. And then
Mhm.
if it doesn't work, we can
Mhm.
have that conversation.
Absolutely.
But a lot of times, if providers aren't in a place where they can really provide their patient with that,
Mhm.
then we
Mhm.
can't ever get to that point to sort out what is working and what
Right.
doesn't.
It's
Yeah.
so true. You're more apt to have that success rate than to
Yeah.
just be another number. So that's
It's
spot
true.
on. It really
And
makes such a difference.
it's not because that provider knows any more than another provider does. It's
Right.
just because you can
Mhm.
have the communication that enables
Mhm.
good treatment. Yeah.
Absolutely. Open communication is key in so many aspects of life, but especially when you're the doctor patient relationship and the coach client relationship, having that open communication. Because listen, as a coach, you hired me to hold you accountable and get results and feel better. So that's what I'm going to do. But
Yeah.
if we're not communicating effectively or openly, it's not going to work for either person.
That's great that you mentioned that. Yeah, it's a very similar dynamic, right? If I'm
Yeah,
just lying to you because I want
yeah,
you to be impressed with me, that's really not going to do
yeah,
much for me as the
not at
client.
all.
Yeah.
Not at all. So, Tiffany, share with us, what message would you like our viewers and listeners to take away from this today?
Yeah. I think the message that really I spend all of my time trying to communicate is you have more power than you think.
Mhm.
And and your providers, your healthcare clinicians, your coaches,
Mhm.
people want to do good for you. People want to help, but sometimes it's hard for us to know how to help or how best to
Mhm.
help. And it's your job to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
And if we're not doing what needs to be done, that's okay, right? But
Mhm.
it's your job to say, I don't think this works for me for
Mhm.
these reasons. And then we
Yep.
work together. And if you're seeing a provider or a health coach or a
Mhm.
personal trainer who isn't willing to have that conversation with you and
Mhm.
isn't willing to say, I hear you, and
Mhm.
and and here's why I'm recommending this thing that maybe doesn't sound like a good idea to you. And can we
Mhm.
talk about
Right.
that?
Yep.
Then the answer, in my opinion, is maybe you need to find a new
Mhm.
provider or health coach,
Right.
or look at a
Absolutely.
physician now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I really think it's just, you have more power than you think.
Mhm.
Always ask your clinicians. I understand that you want me to take this medication, but is there, in addition to this, is there some sort of
Mhm.
lifestyle choice that I could
Mhm.
make? Is
Yeah.
there a nutritional path that I
Yeah.
could try that
Right.
could have an impact on my health? And most of the time, I think you'll find that your clinicians will be pleasantly surprised and
Uh-huh.
happy to have that conversation with you. And like I said, if they're not, then maybe get a second opinion.
Absolutely. No one will advocate more than you. So being your own self advocate is the best thing you can do for your health and wellness.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. This has been incredible. Appreciate your knowledge and your expertise and the
Thanks for having me
conversation.
on.
You are
Yeah,
so welcome.
absolutely.
And if
Absolutely.
how do we get in touch with you? You want more information? Viewers and listeners want to reach out to you. How should they do that?
Absolutely. I am super active on LinkedIn. I love my LinkedIn village. So I'm on LinkedIn at Tiffany Ryder, Ryder. Also, I have a podcast where I enjoy having these types of conversations with guests. It's Scrubs and Squats podcast, and we're on Spotify and all the podcast apps, the platforms. And then also TiffanyRyder.com will get you an email address, some contact information, a little bit of information about what I'm doing, where I'm speaking, and what's going on in my world. So I'd be happy to hear from anybody.
Fantastic. And we'll put those contact links down below in the notes in the comments. So thank you so much, Tiffany. Greatly appreciate you and what you're doing for our world and our community. Have a
Thank
great
you,
day.
Robin.
You're
Thanks, you
so
too.
welcome.